Welcome all to Commsverse. You are currently in session 267, IVR Design for Microsoft Teams with Matt Landis. Please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A during the presentation, and Matt will go ahead and answer those at the end of this presentation. I believe that Matt is going to be doing a little bit of a shorter presentation today, so we'll probably end a bit early and have more time that you can interact with him in the breakout room if that's something you're interested in. So I will also put the link to the breakout room in the Q&A chat, as well as a survey that we would love you to complete after this event is over. So thank you so much for joining, and with that I will hand it off to Matt to kick it off. Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome here, everyone. And in this session, we're going to look at building IVRs for Microsoft Teams using the Landis call flow builder for Microsoft Teams. And this is part of the larger Landis contact center for Microsoft Teams. And it is currently in preview. And you can get that by going to inside Microsoft Teams to the Teams App Store and just searching for Landis Contact Center. The functionality we'll be demoing here is already in preview, so if you get that app, you can use it. So with that, we will continue here. Just a little bit about Landis technologies for those who are not familiar with us. We have been building voice add-ons for Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams for some time. We have thousands of customers using our Attendant Console, and leveraging what we've learned from that, we have been building voice solutions for Microsoft Teams as well. We have a long and deep partnership with Microsoft, and we have a network of over 300 premium Microsoft Voice UC and voice partners around the globe, and customers in 6 continents, and I think 50 countries is a little out of date. I think it's between 60 and 70 now. So customers all around the world, and of course we're a Microsoft Gold partner. When we were designing the Landis Contact Center is really a Microsoft Teams first contact center, and this call flow builder is a component of that you can either get with the contact center or separately if all you need is a call flow builder. And some of our design vision for the contact center, the Landis Contact Center, is that it is simple and fast to buy, set up, and use. We really want it to be really straightforward and simple to just get it. You don't have to take a lot of time to get quotes to get this thing, to get pricing on it, and really think of it as a toggle to enable this contact center call flow functionality in your Teams tenant and then configure. And we are not depending, this is a Teams power solution, which means that it's built directly on the Teams platform via the native communication APIs. And it utilizes the existing Microsoft calling or direct routing trunks. There's no integration needed. And that's as opposed to Connect solutions that are integrated using direct routing. We really think that customers want to have something that's built right on the Teams platform as opposed to integrating it with direct routing. One of the things you'll notice about our solution that looks and feels just like Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365, powerful. And you'll notice as we go through that, I don't have to explain a whole lot more there. And really designed, we think the voice solutions should be designed to work with the Microsoft Power Apps like Power Automate, Power Apps, and Power BI. And finally, just a trusted native Teams solution built on Azure and just works. That's really how we've built our other voice solutions, and that's what our goals are for this one as well. So a couple of the components of the Landis Contact Center is you install one simple Teams app, which, like I said before, it's available in the Teams App Store right now. Some of the features are preview that we'll point out, some are live. And you just turn on the components you need. So the contact center, and that's where you're focusing on queuing, skills-based routing, barging in, those types of things. The IVR designer, the call flow builder that we're talking about in this session, lets you build all kinds of call flows that you want to do, and we'll talk about that a little more. Another component is policy call recording and Attendant Console, which is something that we are still waiting on APIs from Microsoft, but as a matter of fact, just today, they announced that they're reviewing bringing the APIs we need to complete the Attendant Console solution. So what is the IVR call flow designer in our Landis contact center? Well, you could think of it as a more powerful version of the Teams auto attendant. And some of the things that it lets you do is codelessly create sophisticated call flows and routing functionality. You don't need to be a programmer, and it works with Power Automate to query data sources and do other logic that you want to. And you just use to make your call flows, you have building blocks that you can just put together to make your call flow, and we'll give some examples of that later. So some of the kinds of things you can build is a data dip call routing. So let's say, and we'll look at, that's another item that we'll look at a little more, or self-service, something where you want to check account balances. What are some of the building blocks that we already have available? One of them is initiating a call or an incoming call that triggers a call flow. You can get call information like the caller name, the caller number, play an audio prompt, listen for button presses, phone button presses, transfer to users or queues, and run Power Automate flows or other web services, and do text to speech and end a call. And we are also constantly adding additional blocks so that you can make other flows or additional flows. All right, so if you're going to so this is our contact center app inside Microsoft Teams, and you really just go into queues and IVRs, click on an IVR, and then inside there you can set it up. Currently, we have a text-based editor. Moving forward, we plan to have drag and drop. So let's say that we wanted to build a very simple self-service balance inquiry. So something like where you call in, type in your account code and password, and it tells you what your balance is. How would you do that? Well, the different building blocks that you would probably use the incoming call building block and then a data dip building block. And the data dip, it will send the caller number in the example that we're going to show here. You'll give the caller phone number and you'll send that over to Power Automate. Power Automate can connect to many different data sources. If you're using one, it probably can connect to it. So let's say go out to your CRM and see what the customer balance is for this phone number, or the customer account. Return that, and then the next building block is text to speech. So then it can say, what the balance is and end the call. And this is really simple. We're using the telephone number to cross-reference, pull up the customer, get the balance, and read it back. But just to show what kind of what can be done. So we have Mary from California, and we'll just let her call in and go through this thing.
Hello, Mary Johnson. Welcome to Contoso. Your balance is $29. Thanks for your inquiry. Goodbye.
All right, so there you heard a very, a pretty complicated process that was made extremely simple for even a non-programmer. So now we're going to have John from New York, and he's going to call in, and we'll see that since his account has a different balance, it will say something different.
Hello, John Smith. Welcome to Contoso. Your balance is $149.50.
All right.
Thanks for your inquiry. Goodbye.
Because I can't wait to talk till he's done. But there you heard it. Just a very simple call flow that you can build with very little effort. So the next one that we're going to demonstrate is the data dip. Whoop, one too many slides there. The data dip call routing, and this is a scenario, and we actually had a customer asking for this where they wanted a database. So when customers call in, looks at their telephone number, and then goes to a SQL database and returns the team's user of their salesman for this customer, and then transfers the user to them automatically. And once again, you can see the incoming call building block, the data dip. We talked about that before. Instead of returning the balance, this time we're returning a team's user of the salesman for this customer. And then instead of reading it back, we'll do a call transfer, and then we're done with that call flow. So we'll just see how that looks. So Mary is calling in, and what will happen?
Hello, Mary Johnson. Welcome to Contoso. Your salesman is Michael Burkholder, and we will transfer you at this time.
All right. There you have it. And so then if John would call in here.
Hello, John Smith. Welcome to Contoso. Your salesman is Paul Martin, and we will transfer you at this time.
All right. So makes sense there. So then a third and our final example here, and this is just to whet your appetite or give you some ideas about how you could do some things. This one's slightly different. This is an area code based routing to correct auto attendance. So this is a scenario where you want to look at the area code of the telephone caller and transfer them to the proper office. So we have the incoming call block, and then the next one, we are looking at the caller number, the area code of the caller, and then transferring to the appropriate queue, and then ending the call. So here, there's no need to do a data dip because we can do everything based on the caller number, and we'll take a look how that one sounds. So now we have Mary from California calling in, and we'll hear what happens here.
Welcome to the Contoso, California Regional Office. For sales, press 1, and for
All right.
service, press 2.
Okay, delayed there. I'm not sure what that was all about. But yeah, so there you can hear. And so we'll have John from New York.
Welcome to the Contoso, New York Regional Office. For sales, press 1, and for service, press 2.
All right. There you go. So these are just very simple call flows to illustrate what you can do. The call flows can have many more steps and branches, much more complicated, but you can just extend the simplicity, add your additional steps, do things like maybe you want them to type in an account number and a password, or you may have other steps you want to do. We have the ability to create variables and parameters. A common one is the caller number and the caller name, but you might want to do variables that you return from Power Automate. You might want to get something in Power Automate, then return that to the call flow and have the call flow do something. But really, with the Landis call flow builder, you can simply create the flows you need without programming. So now we're going to zoom out just a little bit. That's pretty much what I'm going to say about the call flow builder. And now we're going to talk about when we can deliver the components we've been talking about. So some of the components are the call flow builder, policy call recording, the contact center call queues, and the attendant console. So the policy call recording is already GA. Microsoft has GA'd all the APIs we need to provide a version 1 of policy call recording. So that's available right now. So if you go to the Microsoft Teams App Store, download the Landis Contact Center app, you can install and enable policy call recordings today. If I can get myself on here. So the next item that we are expecting to be component that can be released is what we were just talking about, the IVR call flow builder. Based on what Microsoft is communicating, we are expecting in Q3 2020 that we can provide that as a production product. In other words, GA. It's currently in preview. You can test it out. You can play with it. You can build flows. And we're expecting sometime in Q3 that we can go GA based on what Microsoft is communicating and related to the APIs. And then call queuing, we expect the contact center core of the call queuing piece, or the component of our contact center, we will be able to have a V1 in Q3 as well. And we're expecting more items that we can add in post version 1 in Q4. So there's a couple items we'd really like to bring, and that's stopping agents ringing when the caller hangs up, and a basic transfer on the contact center agent. And we, based on what Microsoft is communicating around the APIs, communication API pieces, and when they'll be available, we're expecting sometime in Q4. And then the last thing, the Attendant Console, we have done a lot of work. We have a UI, we have the search engine, we have a presence. We've done a lot of work, and really what we are doing is waiting on the client API. And just this afternoon, we got an email that from the user voice service that Microsoft it now has the API, the client call control API under review. There's no ETA when it'll come yet, but it's under review, so we're hopeful that that will be coming. And if you would like to vote on the client API for call control, you can go to bit.ly/Teams client API. So that's just an overview of when the things that we've been showing and letting people preview for some time should be available. And once again, it's all dependent on Microsoft. This is what you're seeing on this slide at the moment is what Microsoft's communicating to us at the moment, and that's what we'd love to deliver to you. So that is what we have today. And what I'd like to do once again, if you like this session, go to the feedback and give feedback on this breakout session 267, and be glad to answer any questions that came up. I haven't been looking at the questions at all, but be glad to answer.
We haven't had any questions yet, but please feel free to put them in there if you do. Oh wait, looks like we have a question.
Okay.
I spoke too soon. For the IVR call flow builder and its use of Power Automate, will you also need specific MS licenses to support this feature?
So yes, good question, Derek. What you will only need the voice licenses from Microsoft that you would need to do calling. So if there's any licenses around doing calling, so on the Microsoft licensing side, you will do just the normal voice licenses for the users involved. Or if so, you only need and then on the Power Automate side, you'll once again, what you would need is a user. You just need the licenses to do the Power Automate things that you want to do. So I'm thinking that you would need one user license on the Power Automate side. Okay, is there any other questions there? And if I did not get if you need a little more on that, Derek, be fine to either meet you in our channel or in the breakout afterward. But really on the voice side, so if you're going to want to assign a DID to this call flow builder, you'd need a phone system license. But yeah. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate all your time, and thanks to everyone in the audience who was here to listen today and for your great questions. I placed the post-session networking link in the Q&A. This is 267. And if you also have a few extra moments, we'd love it if you could fill out the survey as well. So thank you so much all.
All right.